Hello gamers! Today we're going to review the small card game BraveRats by game designer Seiji Kanai. BraveRats is done by Blue Orange Games and is really marketed towards children. But in Japan it was originally known as R, and it's a bit of a way to figure out who goes first at more complicated games. Let's take a look. As a bit of a spoiler, I have a little bit of a man crush on game designer Seiji Kanai, who's done BraveRats and other very well-liked games such as Love Letter, Lost Legacy, Chronicle, and Sheedy Mages. He really does a ton of small card games that pack a lot of fun in their small game design. Inside of the tin for BraveRats, you'll find a deck of 16 cards, similar to a lot of Seiji Kanai games, that are numbered 0 through 7 in 2 different decks. Basically, you and your opponent will have the exact same hand. The small instruction, which tells you everything about each card and gives you a little bit of the history of the game. And also this reference table, which shows you which cards beat which other cards, which we'll go into later. In BraveRats, you're going to take the 2 decks of cards, give one to your opponent, and take one for yourself. You pick blind which card you're going to play, and the higher number of card wins. But of course there's a twist. With all Seiji Kanai games, each card has its own unique power. So simply pick one, play it face down, and reveal, and see which card is higher. That card wins that battle. The object of the game is to win 4 of the battles. The cards are numbered 0 through 7, but I'm going to go through them in reverse order because they'll make a little more sense this way. The highest card, the Prince, number 7, has a special ability that you always win the round. Now that seems a little counterintuitive since it's the highest numbered card, but we'll go into that later where that matters. Very powerful card. Next, the number 6 is the General. The General gives the next card you play plus 2 strength. So if you played a 5, it would equal a 7. Very nice for getting those powerful cards later in the game. Number 5 is the Wizard. The Wizard nullifies the special power of your opponent's card played that battle. So if they are playing that General, they don't get the plus 2 next time. Very useful card also. The 4 is the Ambassador. It says if you win this with this card, the battle counts as 2 victories, which means you only need to get 2 other victories in order to win the entire game. Now, this is very difficult. There's actually only 2 cards this one can beat, so that makes it very, very tough to predict when to use this and when to win. The number 3 is the Assassin, and it states that the lowest card strength wins. So this is great when you know your opponent's going to play a high power card. The only trick for this one is that the number 7 says that it always wins the round. So even though it's a higher card and should lose, its special ability actually lets it win. And that's the only confusing rule of this game. The number 2 is the Spy. Not very easy to win with this one, but your opponent has to show what they're going to play the next round. This is very useful. A lot of times I play it early in the game to see what my opponent's next move is going to be and then plan from there. The number 1, the Princess, is the high risk, high reward card. If your opponent plays the Prince, the number 7, you automatically win the entire game and don't have to win the 4 rounds. This is amazing. If you know that your opponent desperately needs to win, you can sneak this one in there and win the whole game, even if you're behind. Very fun. The last one is the 0, which is the Musician, and this says that the round is nullified or put on hold. Basically, if you and your opponent pick the same card, the round is put on hold, and the person who wins the next round gets both victories. This one basically automatically does that, but you gotta watch out for those pesky magicians who will nullify this power and win the round regardless. As you can see, BraveRats is a pretty simple game. I mean, you almost can't even call it a game, because it was originally designed to be just something that you could use to determine who goes first in the game. Seiji has a game out called RRR, which I wish would come out in America, which is a bit of an abstract game, and a lot of abstract game, whoever goes first has an advantage, because all the information is already known, there's nothing random about it. Whoever gets to move first has kind of that initial power. This was kind of his way to design to determine who goes first in that game, and that's great because if you go second, you kind of feel like you're disadvantaged. But if you've already lost a little game previously that determines that you're second, you don't feel so bad about that. It's not just randomly assigned to you that, oh, I'm second, I'm at a disadvantage. This way, it's kind of fun. So I really think this should have came just kind of with RRR. as the determining mechanism for an abstract game to determine who goes first. I think that would be a really neat thing. But my partner and I use this all the time to determine who goes first at some of our other games. It was kind of marketed for kids because it's a very simple game, and it comes in this nice tin, which is nice if you're going to send it with them or throw it in your purse or backpack because it won't get banged around. And there's enough room inside of it to sleeve your cards like I did and fit all inside this tin that it comes with. So that's great as well. For BraveRats, for fun, I gave it a score of 6. It is actually really fun, and I really enjoy kind of thinking through and trying to decide what cards I should use, but the game's over in 2 or 3, maybe 4 minutes, so I can't really give it a super high score. It is great for what it's kind of meant for determining who's going to go first in the game, better than rock, paper, scissors, or rolling a dice. It really feels like you had some input on where you're going to be in that game. For strategy, I also gave it a score of 6. It does actually have a lot of strategy. After you play those first couple cards, you know what your opponent has in their hand, you know what you have in your hand, and you can start to really think, okay, man, I think they really need the victory this time. They're really desperate. Maybe I can play that one and take the whole game real quick. Or, I know I'm going to lose this one anyway, so I'm going to play that spy so I can see what they're going to get next time. It is really fun, but like I said, it's not a deep game. It's over really quick, so the decisions don't seem like they're life or death. So I give it a 6, just a little bit above average. For ease, I gave BraveRats a score of 5. This is very simple, and it comes with that reference card that if you have any questions about, does this card beat that one, it's right there all printed, very easily for you to understand. For replayability, I gave it a 3, right in the middle. I actually really love the mechanism of determining who goes first in the game with this kind of little deck of cards. I think that's brilliant. It's not something that we take out as our main game to play, but sometimes if we're going to a restaurant real quick or in between events at a track meet or something like that, we'll play this real quick just because it's fun and easy and light. For randomness, I gave BraveRats a score of -3. Now you do know everything that's in your opponent's hand, so it is kind of like an abstract game in that regard, but it really comes down to that first play. Really kind of sets the stage for the rest of the game. If you made a stupid mistake in that first play, that first battle, then everything else can be kind of a catch-up game, and that takes away from it a little bit, but not so much that I have any bad feelings towards the game. Setup, again, setup for this is a -1. You just separate out the red and blue cards and start playing. That's it. Cost for BraveRats I gave a -1. Again, it is a Seiji Kanai game, which comes with only basically 16 cards in the rulebook, but for the nice tin and all the cards, it's about $7. Players, BraveRats is just simply a 2-player game, so it gets a score of 2. Theme, the theme for BraveRats is interesting. I wish they kind of would have kept it with the original theme and maybe bundled it with his other game, RRR. But the illustrations on it are great, and you really feel like you're having some battle between 2 clans of rats, actually, so I gave it a score of 3. Quality, for BraveRats I gave it the quality of this deck of card game a 3, because it does come in this nice tin. Whereas some of the other games that have come out of his, they've put in these felt bags, which I'm always nervous because I kind of want to bring them around because they are so portable and light, and they're great for that way. But I'm always afraid that they're going to get smushed or somebody's going to sit on them or something. With this, the tin is strong enough that you don't have to worry about that, and it's large enough that you could even sleeve the cards and put it in. So it gets right in the middle, a score of 3. Duration, obviously the duration of this game is basically the shortest you can possibly imagine. I give it a score of 1. It's almost so short that you can't call it a game, but either way it's great. Altogether, I gave BraveRats a score of 70. Now, of course, this is kind of a weird one for me because I think that what it's designed for is perfect. It's great for quickly deciding who's going to go first in the game, especially in one that it really matters who goes first. Some of my abstract games like Hive or Pentago or maybe even his game RRR. But it's not a very deep game. It's over in just a couple minutes. But even though, it is really fun to kind of try and think, okay, they've got these couple cards left, I need to play mine in this order to give myself the best chance of winning, and vice versa. And for that couple minutes, it is a really fun little card game.